welcome everyone a new episode of Money Means Business. We are going to dedicate our episode to speak about the most important efforts exerted by the state throughout the year 2024 to boost investment and to attract more foreign direct investment, to enable and empower the private sector to have more share in our economic process. We do have a lot of questions and a lot of efforts we are going to shed more light on, and we do have an expert, an economic consultant, who is going to answer all our questions regarding that. So we are going to start immediately right after the short break.
A report issued by UBS revealed that the Egyptian government is on the verge of a boom in foreign direct investment. Remittances from Egyptians working abroad and the recovery of Suez Canal revenues, which enables Egypt to collect between $19 and $20 billion in net flows during the next 4 quarters until the end of the second quarter of 2025. The report confirmed the existence of a positive dollar surplus of about $7 to $8 billion during the second quarter of 2025, while the most optimistic scenario indicated a 30% increase in foreign direct investment and investment portfolio flows, in addition to the return of remittances to 2021-2022 levels, which could bring the cumulative net dollar flows to $19 to $20 billion. In a related context, Engineer Hassan Al-Khatib, Minister of Investment and Foreign Trade, reviewed before the General Session of the Senate the state's policies aimed at facilitating investors and facilitating the movement of foreign trade to Egypt, as well as the ministry's efforts aimed at attracting more investments and increasing Egyptian exports to foreign markets. The minister said that the ministry aims to attract foreign direct investment with a focus on improving the business environment and facilitating procedures, which enhances Egypt's competitiveness as a major destination for investment and trade in the region, and reflects the ministry's commitment to providing sustainable investment opportunities that support economic growth. Within the framework of the plan to promote investment in Egypt, Engineer Hassan Al-Khatib held intensive meetings with senior officials in the German government, in addition to businessmen's gatherings and representatives of German companies, with the aim of enhancing joint economic cooperation. The Minister of Investment highlighted the economic reforms taken by the government that aim to facilitate the business environment in Egypt, support foreign investments, and remove obstacles that investors may face in the Egyptian market. In addition to the investment incentives that Egypt offers to foreign investors, the minister discussed the advantages of the preferential trade agreements that Egypt has concluded with many global blocs, which provide German companies with a great opportunity to enter those markets by investing in Egypt. Many German companies have expressed their interest in investing in Egypt, especially in the fields of infrastructure, new energy, and communications technology, reflecting the growing confidence in the Egyptian market as a promising regional center for investment and export. The last 10 years have witnessed many development achievements that have had a positive impact on the lives of citizens across Egypt, as large national projects have created job opportunities for millions of young people and contributed to achieving an unprecedented boom in economic development indicators. Engineer Hassan Al-Khatib also stressed that the economic boom of the policies currently implemented requires a period of time ranging between 2 to 3 years. He added that in order for Egypt to achieve the targeted export volume of $145 billion It needs new and huge investments and an increase in the number of factories, which takes time to show results.
Welcome back. Let's first welcome our dear guest, Dr. Amr Hamed, Professor of Economics and our economic consultant. Thank you very much for being with us, sir. And Happy New Year.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
As I said, sir, in my intro, we do have a lot to speak about. And let's start with, as I said also in my intro, the efforts exerted by the state to boost the investment domain, investment fields. Because it's no secret that the whole world is suffering from a global economic crisis. Since the COVID-19, by the way, and then moving to the Russian-Ukrainian conflict, to the Israeli genocide war in Gaza, moving into other conflicts which are taking place. So the economic problem is a crisis, and not only hitting the developing countries, but also the developed countries. And so Egypt had a bold, let's call it this way, economic program to make sure that we are going to try at least to evade the repercussions of such crises and to move to the right track. Let's start with the incentives or facilitations of the state provided to, I think, all those involved into the business segment, new startups, entrepreneurs, even the factories which had difficulties before and now they are trying to return back. Tell me more about this.
Okay. To start, yes, the world is seeing economic challenges throughout all the spheres. But I think that we have two types of countries. We have success-oriented countries and I would say weak countries.
Yeah.
So it's very important for a country like Egypt being somewhere in the middle of the whole world, because our GDP puts, I mean the total GDP puts Egypt somewhere in the middle. We are classified almost number 39 in terms of GDP compared to all the countries of the world.
Gross domestic product.
Gross domestic product, Egypt is more like before 40, 39, 38. This is our ranking. Of course, if you look at it from a per capita income, we go down to almost 80.
Yeah.
So because our population is big. So the idea, it's a choice. We have to choose. Do we want to be successful or not? If we want to be successful, then we should not really, we should consider all the challenges around the world as an opportunity for Egypt to grow. Because in spite of what you just explained very well, the situation throughout the whole world, but the way I can see it from an economic perspective, it's a great opportunity for Egypt.
How?
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah, because look at the area around us. Look at the countries around Egypt in the Middle East.
Yeah.
If there is a country that has potentials, ask anybody, which country could it be?
Egypt.
Of course. So let's exploit it. This is the idea. Let's really exploit it. And then there are other things. Like, for example, from a location standpoint, where does Egypt stand? Egypt stands at the most important corner of the whole world. We are at the corner.
At the core.
At the corner of Africa, overlooking Europe, Southern Europe, and on our east lie one of the biggest, actually the biggest continent on earth, which is Asia. And let's remember something, because we as Egyptians, we tend to forget that we are not only in Africa. There is a very important part of Egypt that is 100% Asian, which is Sinai. Sinai is 100% in Asia. So we should really build on this. So the way I see it, yes, we have an opportunity. The way I see it is that the government has been trying for the last 5, 7 or even more years to establish, almost, to establish attraction for investments, but we have succeeded. There are two sorts of investments that come to any country from abroad. There is something called FDI, foreign direct investment, which I fall in love with, and there is something that is called foreign indirect investment, which has a nickname that we all know. It's called hot money. There is nothing wrong with hot money, but I, as an economist, I always prefer to go for FDI, foreign direct investment. And the problem is that what happened with the Egyptian government in the last 10 years is that we were more successful in attracting hot money, which comes in and goes out, all the time, because hot money or indirect investment is investment in the stock exchange.
Okay.
What we call the bourse.
So, pros and cons, please?
Pros and cons is that it comes in and it can fly the next day.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is what happened. And when it flies, then the economy, the whole economy will be affected. But FDI...
Something which is not sustainable.
It is not sustainable.
Lacking sustainability.
I'm not saying it's bad, by the way. It's good.
No, it's not bad. But simply, if we're going to talk about sustainable development, this has nothing to do with that.
Exactly, because it's foreigners bringing money into Egypt to invest in buying stocks, bonds, whatever. But when I buy stocks or bonds, I can sell it the next day. But when I come to establish a factory, I cannot sell it the next day.
Sure.
You see, because I'm buying land, I'm building factories, I'm building management offices, maybe branches, hiring people, and what is more important is the transfer of technology. Exactly. So, and then if you want to go out, well, first of all, you don't really have a reason to go out except if there is unrest in the country. Otherwise, you don't really have a reason to go out. But still, if you want to go out, you cannot just jump and go out the next day. So this is very basic. How to establish, how to concentrate as a government on FDI and let hot money comes and goes without really giving it that much attention and importance. So that's why, let me repeat again, I am not against hot money.
We are not against any investment, whether it's direct or indirect, but we should focus on the sustainable investment for, because we are working not for today, not even for tomorrow, but for the coming generations. And we want our economy all the time to be described as resilient. And because of that, we want to make sure that all facilities or incentives are given to the private sector, whether from inside, from outside, from the Arab, from the West, to come and to invest here. And by the way, this is the core of many visits of the President himself. The President, the Prime Minister, the ministers of the economic circle, when they go to participate in conferences, in economic forums, even in any summit talks, you are going to find that on the sidelines of the summit talks, the President meeting with the CEOs of certain groups. Speaking about the potentials we have, speaking about the new industrial zones, about the facilities and stuff like that. What's our homework more than what I've just said?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Our homework. Actually, we have done the superficial part of the homework. For example, we have something called the golden license. It's already established. And we have some other very nice laws that are supposed to attract foreign investment. But did we really get what we want?
Until the moment, no.
Exactly. That's the point. Why? That's the question.
Because the sky's the limit for us.
Well, I'm sorry, but I wouldn't agree with this. I think, I think the point is that we have made the license, the golden license, but there are so many things that are very important that should come parallel with the license. We have given tax exemption to foreigners in the free zones, like the Suez Canal free zone, like the private or the special free zones and so on. But what about the Egyptian investors, the Egyptian businessmen? They are suffering every day from taxes. So you're giving tax exemption to the foreigners that will come and establish projects in the free zones, but at the same time, the domestic people, us, are suffering from taxes like crazy. So the foreigner, if he wants, the investor, if he wants to come and invest in Egypt, who is he going to ask in the first place? Is he going to ask the Minister of Foreign Affairs? Is he going to ask the policymaker? Or is he going to ask his brother, the businessman? What do you think? He's going to ask the businessman, of course.
Sure.
The Egyptian, the domestic businessman.
The one who is already in the field.
Exactly. What do you expect the owner of a big factory in, let's say, 6th of October industrial city, who is suffering every day from the tax departments, almost every day catching him, the labor, and there are a lot of problems.
As far as I know, sir.
What do you think? The idea is that we have to start first with giving...
I think that this is already taking place on the ground, or then how Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli only, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, was there to attend the ceremony of Rubaiki third phase. All those working there, it's the private sector, it's the workshops in Damietta, in Upper Egypt, in 6th of October, in Bani Suef. All those who are working there, most of them were Egyptians, even if I'm going to talk about the state-owned companies like Nasr for heavy industry, like vehicles. It's returning back with what? With the incentives taking place on the ground or given by the state. True? Please correct me if I'm wrong.
No, okay, the idea is that we have to establish confidence. It's very important to strengthen this. We have to establish confidence, because what we have already established the ground for the foreigners to come. The laws, the regulations, the golden license, all these things are there. But the confidence is still not attracting enough. What we are getting right now is maybe, in my opinion, FDI, we can get we're getting 10% of what we should get. We should get a multiple and multiple and multiple of what we're getting here, and right now is the opportunity for Egypt. So the idea is that we have to start now. We have an excellent opportunity to start today, and we can multiply the FDI coming to Egypt if we can succeed in establishing this confidence with the foreign investors. And it will come first from the local domestic businessmen. It's very important.
Do you prioritize some fields rather than the others, sir?
You mean the sectors of the economy?
No, I mean to invade the renewable energy domain. It's a heavy industries, small industries.
Of course. What? It's ABC. It's ABC in economics. You should always start with industry supported by agriculture.
Okay.
And this is something, again, that is a big problem, because we are not really giving industry what is supposed to get. It's very important. Industry sector should be the sector, the stallion of the economy, supported by agriculture. And as you know, industry is doing, I would say, not bad. But agriculture is going down. So it's very important that we should emphasize on industries, which is traditional, supported by agriculture and agro-industries. And then we can speak, of course...
And smart agriculture, too.
This is another something else which is very important. Energy, renewable energy, green energy. Egypt is one of the... we have a great edge when it comes to green energy because of natural resources like the sun, for example, solar energy, the wind energy, the hydro energy, and we can export it to Europe. So that's another great sector that should be exploited in Egypt. Of course, we can speak about becoming a hub for re-export. I don't want to give the example of Dubai or Jabal Ali, but we can have something like this in Egypt here because of the location, the central location overlooking the 3 continents, as I just explained a little bit earlier.
Yeah, amen to that. And sir, let me take this example because it was one of the examples of fruitful cooperation, which I think started already on the ground since Egypt raised the level of relations with the EU to strategic partnership back in March 2024, and there was a very important investment summit here in Egypt between Egypt and the EU partners. And I do remember there was a roundtable discussion. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi was there, and some of the prime ministers of Western countries like Giorgia Meloni of Italy, I remember, and others. And when they were talking about this renewable energy issue, he said it like that: if you want solar energy, build here in Egypt a factory for solar panels. If you want renewable energy from the wind, we'll build a factory for the wind towers and turbines. And this is one of the examples of what we call a win-win situation. So it's going to be for the best interest of both. If you want to elaborate on this or comment on that.
Of course, we already have the Binban project in Aswan, which is classified as maybe one of the biggest 3 or 4 on Earth, producing 1.5 gigawatt and serving 1 million households, which means 1 million households means at least 5 million inhabitants from this project. And then we have also the wind field in Jabal al-Zayt, north of Hurghada on the Red Sea also. And this is what I'm trying to explain, that we have a great opportunity also in energy. Actually, we already started, and this is one of the sectors that the government has achieved some good steps in energy. And we can actually, I think I heard that the Binban project is now about to be copied with another project similar to it. That would be great, because the idea again is that we can export energy to Europe, and not only energy produced in Egypt, but energy coming from the Gulf towards Europe, and Egypt is only the hub. But unfortunately, this is more true for fossil energy, which is not renewable and which is not green. What I'm trying to emphasize here is the green renewable energy, and this is where we have a real edge in Egypt.
Because this is the future, and in many occasions the head of state said that green hydrogen is the future.
It is,
renewable energy is the future.
It is, of course, yes, and it has a lot to do with the environment itself, and preserving the environment, not only for us, but for our kids and our grandsons.
The coming generations, yes. Sir, before leaving the industry issue, a very important, let's say, slogan, which was repeated, I think, tens of times throughout the year: localizing industry. Localizing industry, meaning that it's not even logic to export our black sand. No. Let's turn it into silica first and then export it. It's not logic to export our phosphate. No, turn it into fertilizers and use it or export it.
Yeah.
It's our raw materials is another wealth we have, and unfortunately until the moment, or for the past years, we were not able to make the maximum benefit from it. To localize industry this way is part, or is the side of the coin. The other side of the coin is to give incentives to the men of industry to use from 60 to 65% of our local components in their industries, and this is going to be another push or another leap in our industry. How do you see what I've said from the economic point of view?
From the economic point of view, what you just described is called downstreaming, which means you have something, raw material, but you don't sell it as raw material. You use it, you downstream it into a more a value-added product that you use it in order to make this the next step of the production, and then you can export it in the form of a finished product, not in the form of sand, as you said.
Yeah.
So that's, of course, it's very important. But what you need here, and what we are sometimes lacking, is the know-how, the technology, how to transfer it from this level into the downstream level of a finished product that you can export it, and which will bring much more benefits to the country. But again, the only challenge here for Egypt is the know-how, the technology.
Of course. And to add to what you have just said, sir, I think the state was very much keen to say that the mega projects, of course, are such part and parcel of our economic process. But there is no economy which can depend only on that. The SMEs, the small and medium projects, can also play a pivotal role. And I'm not going to exaggerate if I said Germany, and when I'm talking about Germany, Germany is the biggest economy in Europe, for example. It's depending on SMEs with the very same way, or even in a bigger manner, on SMEs rather than the mega projects. If you agree with me on that, and would you please, I'd like you to elaborate on the importance of SMEs.
100% I agree with you, 100%. I'm just coming back from a very long trip to to Upper Egypt. We went actually by cars from Cairo up to Aswan.
Oh.
Yes, and we stopped on the way twice.
Okay.
It was more like a touristic
tour
journey, exactly, but during these 2 or 3 days we came back by aeroplane, of course, but from here to Aswan we stopped in so many villages, if I may say, in Upper Egypt, and the potential for SMEs and for micro and small businesses in these areas is so great, and they are talented. I mean, the peasants of Upper Egypt, they are really talented, the families, and believe it or not, the ladies more than the men.
I agree.
Yeah, well, I've seen it with my own eyes. I mean, anything that has to do with handicrafts, for example, even working in the fields. It's something that if you just drive like 200 kilometers south of Cairo and further down, you will find that the ladies are helping the men in the fields, in agriculture. It's something, it's part of the culture, part of the peasant culture.
This is something dating for thousands of years,
exactly,
sir. Yeah.
Exactly. So what I'm saying, how can we translate this into like a community project in each and every village? And it could be in agriculture, in agro-industry, SME, well, it can start even smaller, like micro. Exactly, and then if you can put like a whole village together, then it becomes an SME, okay, in agro-business, in handicrafts, even in making the traditional Egyptian clothes that the tourists are buying like crazy. So many fields of that could be translated into SME and micro businesses together. The question is, who is going to arrange this? The peasants themselves? No way. They need a system. They need, at the governorate level, at the city hall level or the village hall level, they need someone to put all this together. And this is what we call, it's part of what we call macroeconomics. When you put things together, micro together, it becomes macro. Who is doing this? That's another point that I want to emphasize. We would like to see something like this developing not only around Cairo and maybe Alexandria and maybe Mansoura. No, let's go to Upper Egypt. Let's go to the heart of the Delta, to the real peasants who are really, because I have seen also during this trip, poverty beyond what we see here in Cairo. So if we can really create jobs for these villages and the peasants, then this is going to boost the whole economy. But it needs planning on the macro level. This is who is taking care of this? It's a challenge.
Should I answer?
Well, okay, please go ahead. Yeah.
There is a presidential initiative which is Hayat Karima, or Decent Life, which is already there, and it's really serving more than 55 million Egyptians scattered all over Egypt in the countryside. And since you mentioned Mansoura, I am coming from Mansoura, and from the villages around Mansoura, you are going to find all those, but those who are thinking out of the box with innovative ideas. They can find this in the local council in Ad-Dakhliya, those who can take care of these ideas. And I'm going to ask you, sir, right after the short break, about the banking sector. And from an economic point of view, should the banking sector give those people only financial services or also non-financial services with consultations, with putting into consideration that CSR or corporate social responsibility should play a role in that? Right after the short break, we are going to return with this exciting discussion with my dear guest, Dr. Amr Hamed.
The government announced the launch of the National Low Carbon Hydrogen Strategy as part of efforts to achieve sustainable development and strengthen Egypt's position as a regional center for renewable energy, in line with Egypt Vision 2030, which aims to improve the quality of life for citizens and adhere to international standards for environmental protection. Through this strategy, Egypt also seeks to achieve a radical transformation in the energy sector by integrating low-carbon hydrogen as a major source of clean energy, alongside solar and wind energy to reduce dependence on fossil fuels. Benefiting from its distinguished geographical location and abundant natural resources, low-carbon hydrogen also represents a golden opportunity for Egypt to enhance its energy capabilities and develop its infrastructure, opening new horizons for economic, social, and environmental development. In a recent report by the Central Agency for Public Mobilization and Statistics, foreign direct investments in green hydrogen projects in Egypt were estimated at about $215.5 billion during the period from 2021 to 2023, as Egypt ranks first in the Arab world in the number of announced or planned hydrogen projects. Over the 2 years since the COP27 climate summit hosted by Egypt in Sharm el-Sheikh, Cairo has signed 27 memoranda of understanding with several investors to launch electricity production projects with a total capacity of about 115 gigawatts, including 63 gigawatts of wind energy and 52 gigawatts of solar energy. The Egyptian government expects total foreign direct investment in green hydrogen projects to reach about $81.6 billion by 2035. In contrast, Egypt has the ability to produce green hydrogen at a low cost compared to the world, and the cost of production is expected to decrease to $1.7 per kilogram in 2050 compared to $2.7 in 2025. The green hydrogen strategy is also expected to contribute to reducing Egypt's imports of petroleum products and reducing carbon emissions. Dr. Mahmoud Asmat, Minister of Electricity and Renewable Energy, met with Ambassador Peter Mollema, Ambassador of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, to Cairo to discuss cooperation and partnership in green hydrogen and new and renewable energy projects. The meeting touched on discussing the exchange of knowledge and technology and the participation of Dutch companies in projects related to the green hydrogen value chain in Egypt. In a related context, the National Hydrogen Strategy aims to enhance international cooperation and establish strategic partnerships with countries and international financial institutions to support research, development, and investment in the field of hydrogen, in addition to stimulating foreign investments and providing attractive incentives for global companies, such as tax exemptions, land allocation, and the golden license to enhance investments in the hydrogen sector.
Welcome back. CSR.
Let's go back to what you said about Mansoura.
Great.
Okay, Mansoura and Asyut.
My favorite.
Okay, well, I think I have some ancestors from Mansoura too.
Great.
But you look like you're coming from Mansoura.
Yeah, so, I am.
Yeah. But anyway, Mansoura and Asyut are exceptions. Okay. Mansoura is the exception in the Delta, and Asyut is the exception in Upper Egypt. Because Mansoura is the richest governorate in Upper Egypt. What you see, in the Delta. Mansoura is the richest governorate in the Delta. In the whole Delta, if you compare, Mansoura is number one when it comes to money making. The same is in Asyut. The same thing. When you go to Upper Egypt, Asyut is also very rich. But if you leave Mansoura and go into other governorates, if you leave Asyut and go further south to Sohag or to Aswan,
and because of that, you are going to find Decent Life Initiative having more presence in Sohag and Qina rather than others because of the most needy brackets.
Unfortunately, I did not see this in my trip. And I invite you to just go on a trip, I mean by driving, okay, and with the exception of Asyut, you will be shocked from a lot of things that need really to be initiated in all this area. So it's very important that we should emphasize this. I am proud, of course, of Mansoura and Asyut and Cairo and so on, but what about the rest? It's very important.
And it's the core of the state's priority right now.
Of course.
Yeah. And sir, if you permit me, because I cannot, of course, leave 2024 without speaking about Ras Al Hikma as a mega project, which I think it's unprecedented cooperation between Egypt and the United Arab Emirates. If you want to elaborate on Ras Al Hikma as a leap in our economic relations, mutual relations with the United Arab Emirates.
Yeah, but I thought you want to speak about banking also.
Yes, I'm sorry. Before going to Ras Al Hikma, no, banking first. No, banking first. I'm sorry.
Okay, what do you want to say about banking?
Banking, you know, the banking sector should not only, in my humble opinion, play only the financial role, just to give you a loan and that's it, and not to follow up with you that you are doing or you are on the right track. Because in the whole world now there are the financial service and non-financial services. And in my humble opinion, or would you please correct me if I'm wrong, that both are equally important.
Which ones? The
financial and non-financial.
Financial, yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay, I'm listening.
Yeah, okay. When it comes to banking, because I just happen to know a lot about banking.
Sure.
Banking have a very long way to go in Egypt. Just a very simple question. Why a lot of Egyptians, and now we're not speaking about the poverty part, we're speaking about the rich part of Egypt. Why a lot of Egyptians are investing in buying gold? Why a lot of Egyptians are investing in real estate like crazy? I don't know how many calls you receive every day on your mobile trying to sell you real estate.
But I think that this is in the whole world. This is in the whole Arab region. It's not only in Egypt.
Let's focus on Egypt.
Okay.
Okay, let's focus on Egypt.
I mean, it's now the trend.
It's a trend, exactly.
It's a trend.
Thank you very much. That's what I wanted to say. It's a trend that we have witnessed in the last few years only. Banks, all this money that goes into gold and real estate should have been in banks, not outside the banks. And I'm not even speaking about the Egyptian millionaires investing outside Egypt. Banks are not doing their job in the best quality expected, as it is supposed to be, to attract Egyptian domestic investments. And this is why the Egyptians, because they want to find another trustworthy investments, they go into gold or precious metals, and they go into real estate, because banking are not giving them the right services. So this is an area where we have a lot to develop.
What should be the right services?
The right services. Let's start with the central bank. The right service should start with the central bank, who is, I'm trying to be diplomatic here, okay, which is not my characteristic.
Okay.
Yeah, but let me try to be diplomatic. What is the role, what is the most important role of the central bank? The central bank role is to manage something called the monetary policy of the country. And the monetary policy of the country is part of the economic policy. What is the objective of any economic policy on earth? Three things. Growth and development.
Curb inflation.
Inflation, thank you very much, and unemployment. The central bank is not taking care of these three at all at the moment. The central bank is now trying to control the banks, squeeze them, control all the accounts inside the banks, and he's not really doing anything except maybe with the first one, which is trying to achieve growth, but not development, because there is a difference between growth and development. But what about employment? Nothing. What about inflation? We're suffering from inflation. Most of the decisions taken by the Central Bank of Egypt, every meeting of the committee of the Central Bank, the dollar goes up and the Egyptian pound goes down. up till this week. How many times we've been promised that the dollar will not reach 50? This week it is exceeded already 50. Who is responsible for this? It's the central bank. So first of all, the central bank should do its job as a macroeconomic institution. The central bank is not acting like a macroeconomic institution. The central bank is acting like a microeconomic institution. And I give him the excuse.
China, India, Japan, the East in general.
Yes.
You said just before the break, sir, that you do prefer this part, or at least it can come first. Why?
Because it's more sustainable. And there is a very basic economic principle. That was a joke, okay? It's not really an economic principle.
Okay.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Okay.
So I don't want to rely only on capital coming from the oil-rich Arab countries. I want to diversify my sources of investments coming into Egypt. Okay? And our traditional way of looking at foreign investment is coming from America, from Europe, and then lately from the rich Gulf countries and Saudi Arabia. No. It's very nice. Let them come. But why should I put all my eggs in one basket? Especially that China is now economy #1 in the whole world. Japan is economy #3 or 4 in the whole world. India is jumping like crazy and becoming one of the top maybe 5 economies. And all of them, they have a lot
Despite the poverty line, which is affecting millions of people in India.
Well, yes, you have a point, but in the last few years this is changing.
Changing?
Yeah.
But it's still there.
It's still there, of course.
Yeah.
India is a bit, yes, India, but still, I mean, India is doing excellent. Yeah, at one point in
Nuclear,
time,
medical, you name it.
Yeah, smart villages. IT, exactly. So India is coming, and there is a lot of Indian capital that is looking for opportunities to invest in the area. So this is why I think we should concentrate more now on Asia. What I love about Asia is that it is sustainable, resilient, long-term. What is going to happen with the Arab funds coming into Egypt was my experience since ages and ages, long years, serving in the Middle East, in a lot of Gulf area and the countries. It's not as strong and solid. It's very rich, yes, but it's not as strong and solid like the Asian, the capital coming from Asia. The Asians, especially the Chinese and the Japanese, they have, when I say a long-term vision, this is not enough. Because when I say long-term vision from an investment standpoint, I'm speaking about what, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? But when you speak about China and Japan, you're speaking about more than 50. 70 or 80 years. So if I can attract...
This is what the parents said after Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They said, look at us after 20 years and after 50 years. They did not say, look at what Japan will be in 5 years.
Exactly.
They said it.
But remember something, the price was very high.
It was.
Exactly.
It was.
Yeah, that's very important.
And this is what happened, but look at Japan right now. I mean, this is something which is already written in history books, something which cannot be changed.
Exactly.
Let's talk to the investment zones or free zones scattered now all over Egypt. And now I'm not only talking about the big ones in the New Suez Canal. I'm talking about one in Benha, one in Mitrammer, one in Bani Suef. I mean, literally scattered all over Egypt. Do you prefer that our agreements with our allies all over the world, and especially from the East, are going to have the lion's share there to make sure that we are going to have the maximum benefit from these industrial and economic free zones, or we should study well the field which they are in to make it suitable for the geographic location, for people who can work there, for if it is suitable for the community there or no? How do you see this map?
I don't like it. Frankly speaking, I don't like to have free zones scattered throughout all Egypt. If it's my hands, because you're scattering everything and it looks like you're giving incentives to someone and someone else no. Why don't we just concentrate on Suez Canal area, very strong, very solid free zone. Alexandria, I mean Burj Al Arab area, another very solid free zone. And maybe, where is Al Alamein? Why are we, now we have decided to take Ras Al Hikma as a tourist attraction and development.
Yep.
What about a free zone, industrial free zone in Al Alamein, for example, and make it very strong? And for a country like Egypt, 3-4 big free zones is much better than hundreds free zones scattered all over the country. So that's how I see it, frankly.
I don't know what's the schedule or the plan we have. Maybe this is already found. We had only the very first phase, but tomorrow, I think now, everything is taking place on the ground is based on research, on a study. It's not haphazardly taking place or just like that. And this was, as an example, when President Sisi was in his three European country tour, he signed or witnessed the signing of an agreement with Denmark in maritime industry, in shipping. Because of what? Because Denmark is very much well known and well experienced in this domain.
Yes.
You are going to find another agreement signed with another country in another field, because we want to have this kind of technology transfer to have a win-win situation between us and our allies. So I think research and studies are already there, and it's a very important side of the coin, if you agree with me.
Research and development is very important. And frankly speaking, the way I see it, even from the centers of research and development, we are still in a very early stage in research and development. Maybe we have the will is there, the intention is there, of course, but we still have a long way to go when it comes to research and development. And the way I see it, yes, we have to invest, because the problem is that research and development needs money. How much are we spending on research and development? How much are we spending? How much of the total budget is spent on research and development? I don't have the figure in my mind, but I bet it's even below 0.something%. What is even more, the example that comes to my mind now is health and education, for example. And according to the
top priorities of the government.
What's the percentage of health and education from the total budget till today? According to the Constitution, it should be 5%. At the moment, it's way below 5%. In my opinion, it should be 10% or more. The Constitution says 5%. Now, we are maybe 2, 3, I'm not sure. I don't want to just, but I think it's between 2 and 3.
What I'm sure of that...
the idea is, let's go back to research and development. Research and development, if you want to compare it to health and education, it should be a percentage of the budget. It's peanuts. At the moment, it's peanuts. Where is it? Who is responsible for research and development on the level of the government? You see, Académie البحث العلمي, the Academy of Research,
Scientific Research.
Scientific Research. What's its budget compared to any of the big ministries? It's peanuts. So,
well, sir, thank you very much for your input. And Happy New Year to you.
Same to you. Thank you very much.
We wish that we are going to see you in more episodes of our program.
Thank you.
Thank you. We were very much delighted to have with us Dr. Amr Hamed, Professor of Economics. Then we'll meet again same time on Nile TV International. Many thanks for watching. Now, I am going to leave you with the most important economic events which took place in the past 7 days. Many thanks for watching once again. This was Nermeen Abdurrahman.
During the weekly press conference, Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli announced that Egypt paid about $7 billion of its debts during the months of November and December, and that the total amount paid during 2024 reached $38.7 billion, stressing that the Egyptian state is committed to paying its obligations and that it has never defaulted on paying those dues. The Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Egypt, in its last meeting, during 2024 for the 6th time in a row, kept the overnight deposit and lending rates and the central bank's main operation rate at 27.25%, 28.25%, and 27.75% respectively. It also decided to keep the credit and discount rate at 27.75%, and the Monetary Policy Committee also raised the basic interest rates by 800 basis points during the first quarter of 2024. Data from the Central Bank of Egypt showed that remittances from Egyptians abroad increased by 68.4% year-on-year in October 2024. The bank said in a statement that remittances from Egyptians abroad recorded $2.9 billion in October 2024, compared to $1.7 billion in the same month a year ago. In the first 10 months of the year, remittances increased by 45.3% to about $23.7 billion, compared to about $16.3 billion in the period from January to October 2023. A report by the Business Africa platform last Saturday stated that Egypt is among the top 10 African countries with the largest fleets of commercial aircraft. The report also included South Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Morocco, Algeria, Angola, Botswana, Namibia, and Tanzania, as commercial aviation contributes to supporting vital sectors such as tourism and agriculture, which enhances their economic position. Fitch Ratings raised Egypt's tourism revenues in 2025, which will witness strong growth to achieve about $17.4 billion, compared to an estimated $16.3 billion in 2024, and revenues are expected to reach $19.8 billion in 2028. Fitch explained that the improvement in consumer spending in Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa will lead to growth in revenues per visitor.